Release Radar versus Discover Weekly versus radio. What's really the difference and how do artists get on them? That's what we're talking about in today's video. What's going on, guys? This is Omari with No Nonsense Music Marketing, the number one place for music business and industry advice online. If you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button because most of you watching these videos don't even subscribe. And you need this information for your music career this day, this month, this week, so that you can get ahead in your business. So today, we're doing a deep dive into some data for Release Radar, Discover Weekly, and radio algorithm playlists on Spotify. So a lot of artists ask, how do I get on these? What's really the difference between them? And some fans, some listeners may be asking, what's really the difference between these playlists? Release Radar, just as a broad overview, Release Radar is one that artists can actually submit to the Spotify editorial team. You can do this in your Spotify for Artists. You can submit your songs in advance. They need to be at least 7 days in advance that you're submitting them. Ideally, you want to do this like 3 or 4 weeks before the release of your song to give them enough time to listen to the song, digest it, possibly add it to some editorial playlists, which are the ones that whenever you search in Spotify, they may be in your home section or they may show up in your searches. That's an editorial playlist. For the algorithm playlist like Release Radar, they will automatically add you to that one and it'll show up to all your followers. So people following you on Spotify. And if it starts to do well, and if your song starts to do well, then they'll add you to more Release Radar playlists within the first month of that song. So that's why it's called Release Radar. Discover Weekly, however, is based on your listening habits. So it'll say that if you like these songs, we recognize that, these artists kind of sound similar and people enjoy these artists on the Discover Weekly playlist and other playlists. And this song is getting usually it's a certain amount of streams and saves. Which is typically above 10,000 streams in the last 28 days, or around 10,000 streams at least, and a certain amount of save ratio, which is like a 2 to 10% save ratio per listener. Then it'll start to recommend you more for the Discover Weekly playlist. So that doesn't have to just be the release of the song. That can be within the last 28 days. And then the radio playlist is actually not a playlist. It's just an algorithm. So Discover Weekly and Release Radar are playlists. Radio is not. It's just the automated recommendations that Spotify gives after you're done listening to a single or done listening to a playlist or album. It'll just keep playing the music so that you stay on their app. So that's the difference between them, the actual layman's terms. But how do artists get on all these? So we have some stats here from select artists. We may blur out their names or not. They can feel free to reach out to us, but we'll shoot them a little bit of traffic. Some of these artists. So we ask artists for reader access to some of their stats in order so that we can keep track on how well some playlists are doing. And this is voluntary on their part. We keep track of how well some playlists are doing, as well as try and, get a certain result for artists within a certain amount of time. In order to do that, we need to keep track of how well the playlists are doing. So some artists are kind enough to help us out with that. But like I said, we might just keep them confidential or not. We may reach out to them. So we have some artists that we work with and have some deals with, such as King DeReal. What we notice whenever we look through all the stats of the artists that we have in Spotify for Artists, one consistent thing is that if you get a boost, like if you get a strong boost within a certain time period, Spotify really takes notice of that and will start to add you to more algorithm playlists. So one general rule is that if you do get those 10,000-ish streams for your song within the last 28 days, then your song is going to start to get picked up on more Discover Weekly playlists. But additionally, I do notice that whenever there's a strong spike in the plays, then that's kind of a catalyst to add it to more radio algorithm and Discover Weekly playlists as well. And it does help with if your song's first coming out and you get a big spike within the first like 3 days, then you just start to get picked up on more release radar playlists, especially if it goes over that 10,000. So some of the artists we work with are big enough that they get like, they may get 20,000 streams the first day or within the first few days. And we really see that help their release radar start to just take off. So they have a system now where you can kind of guarantee, air quotes, but you can kind of guarantee that if I push my song this much within the first week or so, then it's just going to start to get picked up on more algorithm playlists. And that way, I may push really hard at the beginning, may pay for some promotion at the beginning, but if this song is good enough, then the algorithm playlist eventually will start to overtake the amount of plays I'm getting on third-party playlists. So they kind of just use our services or their promotion efforts to push really hard in the beginning, or if they're trying to do Discover Weekly, they may try to push really hard for a certain amount of weeks, and then if the song is good enough, meaning it's getting saved enough as well, they'll start to get picked up on more and more algorithm playlists. So we have seen if people do push really hard and it's not getting saved as much, they'll typically get added to more radio. Like they'll get more streams from the radio section. When we look into the playlist here, you can see that it'll say both radio and Discover Weekly. Sometimes radio will be above Discover Weekly. Sometimes it won't be. But we do see artists that they'll be on radio, but they won't be on Discover Weekly. Sometimes that has to do with the save ratio. So, and again, there's no exact science to it. These are the trends that we see, though. From all the data we have, this is what typically happens whenever you're really trying to get Spotify to start paying for your promotion. So whenever it's on a listener's own library and playlist, that's where you want to start to get a lot of your streams, your own profile, and then also Spotify algorithm playlist. So you're using the promotion services and promotion efforts to try to get onto these. It's just like a business. You don't want to always be paying for you don't want the bulk of your marketing to just be paying for advertising. Or let me restate that. You want eventually for your paid advertising to pay off with organic traffic. So after you spend all this ad spend, you want people to start to spread it by word of mouth, and you want to get higher in search results so that you don't have to pay as much for advertising down the line. Same idea here. You want to push your promotion budget towards these songs in a way that it starts to get picked up by the algorithm playlist. So if you don't have the budget for that, and if you don't have enough to have pay for somebody's time to push it towards 10,000 streams, you can start off with some of the lower packages and then also use your own efforts to start to do some of the free promotion methods, which is really just your time. So either you pay somebody else for their time who may have an expertise such as us and knows more about the promotion, as well as trying some free promotion methods to really catch on to the algorithm playlist. Because if you're just getting like 500 streams or 2,000 streams, you may get on some release. You obviously get on some release radar playlists, but you won't get on as many as you could if you had pushed it harder. So we know we work with a lot of different artists with a lot of different budgets, but that is how the algorithm works. We don't control that algorithm. We're just letting you all know how it really works and how to take advantage of it. All right, so hit us up with any questions in the comments. We know that people have a lot of questions about these algorithm playlists. So we'll do our best from all the data we have to help you out. And also smash that like button and subscribe to this channel so you can get updates every week on how to go about your music career. We'll catch you in the next one.